Hi, and welcome to Everyone Has Them with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany. Um, welcome back to my channel. I really appreciate all of you who've been supporting and watching all along. And thank you to my new subscribers. I really appreciate it. We're on the road to 50. We're getting there slowly but surely. And if you are seeing my video for the first time and you like what you see, please hit subscribe. Okay. In today's video, I wanted to spend no more than 15 minutes talking about something that I struggle with. And one of the reasons why I decided to do it, but I really felt that almost led to give up being negative and unkind to myself. And that is because I suffer from imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome, you might ask, for those of you who don't know? It's not necessarily like a diagnosable type thing, but it's definitely something that someone struggles with. And imposter syndrome is basically like anxious feeling, like you're experiencing actually, let me just read it. So, a feeling of anxiousness and not experiencing, wait. I messed this all up. Okay, I'm just going to keep going though. I'm sorry. Imposter syndrome is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite being high performing in external objective ways. Basically, people feel like a fraud, or like they'll be found out, or that they're phony. It's basically, you just feel like, how am I here? Like, this has to all be a mistake. And there's more to it, but for me, it's really like, this must be a mistake. So let me take you back in time. Let me take you way back to the early aughts, maybe mid-aughts. So like 2005, 2006, I decided to become a real estate agent. And in Illinois, which is the state I live in, you have to be licensed to be a real estate agent. So you have to take classes. I believe it was like 6 months of classes that you have to take, and you take the course. You take a licensing exam at a testing center. It costs money, and you have to pass it. If you don't pass it, you can't get a job. So I went ahead and I did all those things, and I paid to take the test. It wasn't a cheap test. And I went to the to the testing center, and I went to take the test. And, there are other people taking tests, and I finish the test and I don't get my score right away. Now, mind you, I am mathematically challenged. Like, I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Actually, I can add and subtract. Multiplying and dividing, it has to be like perfect conditions, like 73 and sunny, like the barometer at a certain, like, it has to be perfect conditions, right? Otherwise I can't do it. I did not go to school long enough to really I didn't learn my times tables at the appropriate time, right? So like, I can figure them out without a calculator, but I don't have them memorized. I missed about a third of school growing up, and I did not do high school properly. And it wasn't until I was going for my associate's degree, until I started my college journey, that I really, understood school and did school and did well in school. So, anyway, the class was difficult. You have to learn like law, you have to learn, just all these different things. And math is a big part of it. And a lot of people said that the state exam had a lot of math on it. So I was sweating at this. I take the exam, and it's immediately supposed to give you your, if you passed or failed. It didn't. So, they have you leave or whatever, you go out, and they said that their system was messed up. Well, I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I obviously failed. The test was really difficult. Like, I I don't even think I think it timed out on me. I don't even remember. And they have me wait, and it comes up with my name, and I passed. I was like, there's no freaking way. But okay, cool. Like, I'm taking this one. Like, I need it. I wanted to get into this career. I thought it would be a great thing to do. You know, kind of as a stay-at-home mom, like, kind of do this, you know, a couple houses a year. It would really help our family, this, that, and the other. So I do that. And I don't understand how I get into it, but I'm like, fine, I got this, right? But I really thought it was because the system was messed up. I should have failed. Fast forward to, just to going to college. Like, I'm writing papers, I'm getting like A's, and I'm like, how? Like, just yesterday, actually, I was talking to somebody, like, I don't even know where a comma goes before or after the but. Like, I have no, like, I think English is my only language, but I'm not great at it, right? Like, especially, like, I can write, but not correctly. Like, my grammar's bad, right? So, and again, my English is not great. It's my only language, and I struggle, right? So, I struggle. So anyway, so fast forward to me becoming a therapist. And, you know, you go to grad school, and I'm doing great in school. And I'm convinced, still to this day, I'm convinced that my professors didn't read my papers. I'm convinced. There's no way. I don't know where a comma goes. There's no way. They read these research papers, and they were like, she's smart. Like, I'm convinced. But that is my imposter syndrome. My imposter syndrome is, they obviously aren't reading this, because if they were reading these papers, they would find out I'm a phony, right? So I make it all the way through. I'm like cum laude something. Nothing that, like, it matters. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you're that magna cum laude, summa cum laude, whatever, like, congratulations. I know you worked your butt off. And that's the other thing I want to say. This didn't come naturally to me. I didn't just, like, wake up and I was like, oh, I'm so smart. I worked my ass off. Sorry, YouTube. I worked my butt off. I worked. Anyone who knows me knows that I was invisible for those years. I was in school. I was doing the thing. I was at the library. I mean, like, people knew, like, people were like, where are we going to find Tiffany? She's at this table in the library. That's where I lived for years, because I needed all the help I could get to get through this, right? So, that being said, I take the first tier of the licensing exam, and I pass first go. I know people who are way smarter than me who didn't pass first go. So again, I'm thinking, like, must be something wrong, right? Like, it just isn't possible. I go to take it the second time. There's a few hiccups, and I couldn't actually take it on that day, so I didn't take the exam. So I actually had a little extra time to study, and I ended up studying and taking the test again and passing that exam. Still don't believe it. Like, there are so many things about it that I don't believe. But, like, I'm like, how am I like this person, right? This girl who, who's, grown-ups told her, like, you're never gonna amount to anything, you're not very smart, like, the decisions you're making are dumb, so you must be dumb, right? Like on and on and on and on, right? And, like, again, teachers being like, you could be smart, but, you can't do your homework, and me literally struggling to do my homework. Little did I know back then I had ADHD, but I do. So that could have been part of the reason, but just even sitting in session, sometimes you sit there and you're like, this person has a problem that I've never had before. I don't know how to support that person, but I don't have to know, because there's all these other people who know, and there's all this research and all these things that I've learned, and I can go back to that information and hopefully recall it from way back in my brain and bring it up front. But, you know, just there's it's hard. But there's two sides to that, right? Like, obviously, something is true. Like, I guess you don't get a whole master's degree and become a licensed clinical professional counselor without knowing something, right? So that's where I'm standing on, right? God thing, whatever. But obviously I was in that spot when I was supposed to be. But the other thing is, like, admitting that, like, yeah, I don't know everything, and that's okay, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with when they have something like imposter syndrome, right? Like, you can't, because people will be like, oh, no, that's not true, right? Well, no, like, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm an imposter. So it's true that that's how I feel. It may not be the truth. So what do I do with those feelings? So there's just like a little snippet, and it's just right on the Google like landing page if you Google imposter syndrome, and it's ways to kick imposter syndrome to the curb. So one of the things that it says, and I'm not going to share all of them, but finding a mentor. I have, you know, I shouldn't say several, but a couple great psychologists who've been in the field for years, who those are my go-to gals that when I need something, when I'm struggling, I can call them, text them, email them, and they get right back to me, and it's so great. They were, you know, two of the women who trained me, and I just, you know, they've seen it all. So that's number one. Anticipating the feelings. So knowing that there are going to be days where I'm feeling more I'm feeling more like an imposter, and like preparing for that, right? So I can combat it. The other one is acknowledging and releasing the feelings. I know this is something I struggle with, and there are days where I just feel like I don't know how I got here. That's okay. But knowing that, like it says, I'm going to reframe those negative thoughts, right? Use a little bit of, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? I'm going to reframe them. I'm going to, you know, figure it out that way. I'm going to anticipate the fact that I'm going to have those feelings. I'm going to go to a mentor, and I'm going to focus on the actual facts. The facts are, I've made it. Not that I'm the best therapist in the world and I'm doing all the best things, but I've made it to this point. I set a goal for myself in like 2010, and by 2020 I had reached it. In 2010, I had a GED and no identity. And by 2020, I had 2 associate's degrees, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree. And here I am in 2024 with my terminal therapist license as a licensed clinical professional counselor here in the state that I live in. Like, so in 14 years, I did all of that. I did it all. There's something to be said for that. But it's okay if I feel there are days where I'm like, my professors could not have read my papers. I don't know where a comma goes. I don't, you know, I just, I slipped under the radar, right? Because I was a good student and I asked questions and I worked really hard, and, you know, I was the same age as a lot of my professors maybe. But then again, the chances, like, maybe I earned what I worked so hard for, right? I don't know. But that's something I've struggled with, and this is one of the ways that I'm dealing with it. I'm sharing it with you, and I'm remembering that I get to be kind to myself, but I get to acknowledge those feelings when I have them, right? Just like, and this is going to go over 15 minutes, I'm so sorry. Just like I tell my kiddos when I'm working with them in individual sessions, but even as the whole class, we have feelings. They're going to come. We can't stop them. So we're going to hold space for them, and then we're going to figure out what to do with them. I tell them, like, you can be angry. Be mad. Okay. But you can't hurt yourself. You can't hurt others. You can't hurt property. Can't break property. So what are we going to do with that anger, right? I can feel like an imposter, but I'm still going to get up. I'm still going to do my job. I'm still going to do the best I can for my clients, for my patients, whatever setting I'm in. And I'm going to continue the hard work that I started in 2010. And I'm going to look at the research and read the studies and find best practices and continue to do that, because that's what I do. I may not feel like, I know it all, but that's also a really good place to be when you're a therapist. You can't know it all, right? You can't. You can't. You have to learn from your clients. You have to learn from the people that you're helping. So I don't know if that speaks to anyone, but it was definitely something I wanted to share. So, like I said, there's nothing to link or anything. I just literally pulled up imposter syndrome on Google. You can check it out. But yeah, maybe I will be found out someday, but hopefully I'll be found out for being someone who really worked her butt off to get to where she is. And all I wanted to do was do what's best for my clients and help them be successful and make the best decisions for their own lives. All right, kiddos, that's it for me tonight. I hope you have a good one. Bye. All right, I'm going to try the button. I'm going to try it. All right, 1, 2, 3. Nothing's happening.